and thank you for tuning in and welcome everyone to the Leader of Leader podcast, which is brought to you by the YPO Leadership Development Network. My name is Diana Daniels. I am a member of YPO Greater Europe and the CEO and founder of Cronos Group. I work in the telecommunications, labor, and financial inclusion, and it is my pleasure to be hosting the Leaders of Leader podcast, where today we will talk about mastering mind leadership by integrating psychological strategies with innovation. And today, we're thrilled to have Aline Gomez-Acebo with us. She's a great friend of mine. She is the CEO of ENIAX, a company that uses artificial intelligence to reduce patient absenteeism in medical and hospital settings. First is a B2B company that works with a natural language processing engine called Patricia, and also has operators to manage administrative processes in the medical environment. The journey is a testament to the powerful and mindful leadership. Thank you, Aline. You are a YPO member in Madrid, is that right?
That's right, yeah. I'm currently in Portugal, but my chapter is Madrid, where I was born, so it makes sense. Thank you for having me, Diana.
Thank you, Aline, for being here with us. And to start, I would like you to share a little bit about your journey. What did you dream to be when you were younger? And where you dream to be today? And what will be the one key element that it has helped you to get where you are now?
Wow, that's a lot of questions. So when I was young, I wasn't sure, either a clown, a nurse, or a teacher. I think I managed the three of them because I'm very laughable and I love to teach. And I ended up in healthcare. So it was kind of a sentiment that has happened. But now where I would want to be is, I guess that once you establish yourself and realize how things happen and what you want to leave in, as a footprint, I would definitely like to focus myself more on making things with impact, which is why ENIAX is happening in a way.
And
then what was the third question?
Element? Yeah. What is the key element that actually helped you get where you are right now? What will be that thing that you think that make you happen?
So I'm not really sure, but I'm definitely sure it had to do with people and understanding people. So I guess that actually when I chose psychology as a bachelor, I didn't know that was going to be so helpful, but I think now thinking back that it was a key element into becoming something that I actually wanted to be.
What an inspiring journey, Aline. Mastering mindful leadership in today, the fast-paced business landscape that we have, is more critical than ever, I believe. Seems to me that leaders who prioritize mindfulness and emotional intelligence are seeing a very good improvement in the employment engagement and their overall productivity. So, and you know a lot about how AI is enhancing this ability. I was reading some reports and they say that 77% of the organizations are experiencing leadership gaps, and those psychological insights can play a crucial role in bridging those gaps. So if you can let us know how leveraging these psychological insights improve this leadership effectiveness, and especially in these high-stake environments, how does that happen?
Well, I mean, it's all about people in business, right? So there wouldn't be a business if you wouldn't have someone to sell, or someone that produces, or someone that delivers service. So it all ends in people. So if you don't understand people, it's going to be very difficult to become successful. And understanding people in all senses, even in macroeconomics, is just, now we've seen with, I'm sure you've read Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow, which comes from the psychological evidence that we have the double brain, the one that we don't think about and the one that that is active. And that has even been put into investment, because it has been shown that, the way we think is a lot about having more or less success in where you invest, or how things work. And I guess, if you have to lead projects or a company or teams, it all comes to people. So I realized when I was COO, or before head of innovation, that you could have the best technology, but in order to be able to push it, you had to pass by the people. So you can you can buy the best CRM, but if it's not being used because you haven't explained it well, you haven't adapted it well to the what people actually need for their job, it's just not going to happen. So I guess that, yeah, definitely getting to know all these principles that are so available to all of us is really interesting. But what's more is that you talked about emotional intelligence, and that's actually the book of Daniel Goleman, when he first coined this term, was the one that actually turned me into psychology and why I decided to study this degree. But recently, we've seen that there's a new intelligence that it hasn't been talked about until a few years ago. So we thought it was the IQ and the emotional intelligence, right? But apparently, well, you probably know people that are super intelligent and that are very empathetic, but they're still not successful. So where's the road to success? And there's a new intelligence that's called the executive intelligence, which is the one that makes things happen. So why these people, maybe you're not that intelligent, which is probably my IQ wasn't as good as my brother. You've got emotional intelligence, but you've got the drive. And the drive is what make entrepreneurs, good business leaders. And this is just being started to learn how it works. It's a super interesting new area of study within psychology that I guess would give us a lot of hints about why someone is successful versus another one.
This is super interesting. There's actually a McKinsey report that they say that there's an improvement in about like 10 to 15% for the performance for those teams that are hitting into the emotional intelligence part. And I love this now executive intelligence because it will set you apart as well and identifying maybe members of your team that can help bring, the new elements. So if we think about this, how those leaders can bridge this human insight that you're talking about with technology to improve either team dynamics or communications, or at least foster a more empathic workplace?
Well, first of all, we have to think what a technology is for, and it's to do the things we don't want to do, right? So there was this post very recently that I'm sure you've seen about, I don't want AI to create and to do the fun things. I want them to do my dishes and my laundry, right? That's actually, so the first thing is, why are we positioning AI or technology into doing the things that we actually enjoy, where we can actually add value as humans and not in the autonomous tasks? So people are only going to embrace AI if it makes their work easier and where they can focus more where they enjoy it. From the medical perspective, for example, as I am in the healthcare industry, we can see that 2/3 of the time that doctor spends within the consultation room is dedicated to administrative tasks. And then we say there's not enough doctors to supply all the demand. No, there are, but they're just dedicated to things that is not supplying that demand. It's just like, documents and filling out the medical history, which can definitely be done by technology. So I guess it's the first thing you should do, or we should all do, is analyze what can be automated, because there's no value added from it being done by a machine, by a human, and that any machine could do, so that we can focus on actually growth, delivering, and doing things that a machine can't do. Once you have that clear, then you can search for the technology that serves you better, and then it's going to be very easy to sell to the people that have to adopt it, because they're going to realize, okay, this is what I actually didn't like doing anyway. So I just have the machine do that. And I've got plenty of examples about this and how it's worked. But I'm sure that anyone that listens to this can think about, I just love always to take out, I was living in Chile when I was recently married in 2010. And I realized over there's an expression, that Chile is very well known for the copper mining, right? And there's an expression in Chile that is to peel the cable. If you realize the cable that we had, 20, 30 years ago was this thick, was very, very thick. And now it's so small, and it has the same potential, but because they peeled it and see what was inefficient, what wasn't needed, and what was, and you can actually do the same with a smaller thing. So I think that's what technology has to do. It has to allow us to do the same things with less resources, or to do us more with the similar resources.
I love this because it also takes us to another part where I know you are very passionate, which is sustainability, right? And then I've been reading and watching you all over your different conversations that you have had in different shows, and sustainable leadership requires that resilience of being adaptable. What is, what are the things or the ecological strategies that leaders can employ to drive these long-term changes that will prioritize the benefit over the typical short-term gains? Because we are so pushed into creating, results so fast that sometimes when we are on it, we lose the sight of the long term. So how do we prioritize these strategies in a psychological way to drive our teams and our boards in a way where we can focus on that?
Well, that's a great question, especially because our system is so against that, right? We're so much short-term focused. So it's all about how do you did this year and what are your prospects for next year? But nobody's asking you for the next 5 years, right? Only maybe when you're an entrepreneur. But otherwise, they just worry about this or next year because this is where my stocks value is gonna go, right? So I think there's some leaders such as there's this book which is called Net Positive about Unilever, which did this, right? And how they focus the short term goals and the long term goals. But in the end, sustainability is a lot about transformation anyway, and it's something that you need because sustainability starts by financial sustainability. It doesn't. We can focus in becoming net zero, but if we're not profitable, nobody's going to be able to maintain that. So focusing sustainability and aligning it with the actual sustainability of the business makes a lot of sense. And how you can do it is in a way talking the language of the different areas. What I found over the past year and a half, where I've been actually driving more sustainable initiatives, is that the first reaction is, oh my God, you're going to get into my business and change things. So what I've tried is to actually understand what their needs, their goals, and align it with the sustainable ones. And it's so easy because sustainability is about using less. It's about reusing. It's about, wasting the minimum. So it's very much aligned with business goals, right? So,
right.
Less cost, more profit or similar profit, but with less, more margin. So in the end, it's not that different. It's just that sometimes it's put in such a scientific way that nobody understands it. So first you have to kind of land it in a common language, and then align it with their goals, and then they're going to embrace it. So before I had people saying, oh no, she's coming again with some proposal, and now people actually come to me with, hey, I have this idea. Can you help me push it forward? Because they see that we're on the same way. The problem is that when changing, that's why I mentioned this book, Net Positive, changing the goals from short term to long term needs having the board on board. And for that, you need to be able to kind of create a plan that makes sense, right? For the board, in order to say, okay, maybe this is not going to be profitable, or it's not going to be as profitable if we did this on the short term, but in the next 5 years. So what we do is every single initiative, for example, we position it that way. So we're like, okay, this is the investment, this is the return on investment, but this is the gains every year. And it's an easy sell because, as I say, it's super aligned sustainability with. The problem is that sustainability comes from corporate responsibility, and that was an expense, right? So what I think leaders, especially leaders that are in the sustainability area, have to embed sustainability within the business, and that's the way to make it part of it and want it in a way.
Totally agree with you. This is a gem, Aline. So, and I guess that we as leaders continuously, we are seeking the knowledge and the tools that can help us refine our skills and strategies. And with the dynamic nature of mindful leadership and the integration of these strategies for innovation, I believe that having the right resources can make a big difference. So I would like you to please share a few resources that you would recommend to someone that is looking to master this mindful type of leadership by integrating either psychological strategies and innovation in their company, what resources would you share with them to use?
Well, I guess there's many, depends on the industry. So, for example, the service industry doesn't have that many resources, unfortunately. Sustainability has been more focused in the manufacturing, which is kind of the one that you see more, both as a consumer and as a producer, right? And over there, there's some really nice resources such as Cradle to Cradle, which it talks about how, trying to make circularity happen, or the Carbon Almanac, which is it gives you an idea. The problem is that people don't really know what sustainability is about, and they just think it's carbon emissions, but there's so much more than that. So these kind of books, or there's a few podcasts that I also like, like Sustainability Biz, or podcasts around that, where you can see actual examples of people within the different industries that tell you about their journeys. But I guess that it's more about understanding sustainability. And for example, the Carbon Almanac gives you a big, nice overview in a very easy language about this area and how big it is, and also let you understand all this emissions, CO2, methane, and all these words that sound very weird, someone that has never been into the business, and enables you to see, okay, where I can actually make business. So for example, I was talking with this friend of mine who works in one of the largest manufacturers. I won't say the name, but basically they were saying about how to make their business sustainable, and they realized that because they make chips, and one of the things they do is making chips, they realized that with the peeling of the potatoes, you could put them in a bomb, and that would create methane, that would create energy. So it's based. So, but in the beginning, he was like, "Yeah, I didn't even understand what methane was." But some people from my team came with these ideas because I brought them into this course of sustainability. And now whatever went into that landfill now is actually creating energy. We've got many things like that in hospitals as well, where we're actually reusing the oil from the kitchens for biodiesel and things like that. So there's a lot of ways to do circularity and gain money, because I had to pay those people before to kind of recycle that oil. And now I'm actually being paid for that same task, So I guess that first understanding all these concepts, it's nice, because then you're like, oh yeah, maybe I have that as well. Let's try and see other solutions. But yeah, there's so many resources that I could just give a whole list, I guess.
Well, thank you for those quick recommendations, because I know that they're going to be enlightening for our audience. Now, this is the time for our quick fire questions. I want to ask you a series of questions, and what I would like you to respond is with the very first word that comes through your mind. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
We're going to try it to one word, okay? So let's do. Biggest leadership challenge?
Time.
Okay. Most rewarding leadership moment?
Most rewarding leadership what?
Moment.
Team.
I like this. Okay. Key to innovation?
People.
Essential quality in a crisis?
Awareness.
One word for emotional intelligence?
Empathy.
AI role in leadership?
Catalyzer.
You're very good. Okay. Your source of inspiration?
Does it only have to be one? Okay. Mother.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Leadership in one word?
Drive.
Future of work?
Future?
Future of work?
Future of work? Flexible.
Your guiding principle?
Consistency.
Aline, you're very good. You are actually a great student, because most of the people, they always say more words. So you're fantastic. You're fantastic.
I'm obedient.
I love this. Well, they totally amazing answers. It's completely thought-provoking. So, Aline, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us, your experiences. We learned a great deal about the integration of psychological principles with leadership, with innovation, the strategies to enhance all this effectiveness and resilience as leaders. And I really would like to thank you for coming here with us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for joining us today in the Leader of Leader podcast. My name again is Diana Daniels. I look forward to being with you again next time. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we will continue to explore the insights and strategies to make great leaders. Thank you and see you soon.